Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there. Welcome. Good morning. I don't know how out of it I've been that it just occurred to me that we're almost at the second anniversary of January 6th. It's been a year. It's been a year. Which just proves what someone put on Twitter that I saw this morning. It's proof that the time also flies when you're not having fun. Wow. A year. When I often moan about our speedy wheels of justice, wow. A year ago, there was an attempted violent attempt to overthrow our government. And no one in a position of authority has suffered any consequences other than perhaps increased legal bills, maybe a sleepless night here or there. But wow, January 6th. And life just went on. Incredible. I read this article. I was reading an article about God knows what, the 6th and all that, and Mark Meadows and how he's going to be the latest Trump sycophant and loyalist to be thrown under the bus. He already is being thrown under the bus. When do these people realize, all of them, that carry water for this guy, that he will take them out the minute that they are no longer of use to him? Meadows, this is a sentence I read, and then it just stopped me in my tracks. Meadows kept in close touch with some of the president's lawyers, including the group who gathered at the Willard Hotel a block from the White House in advance of January 6th to strategize on how to overturn the election. That is treason. That is sedition. I don't know exactly what that is. That sentence is put there the sky is blue, the grass is green. Yeah, these guys are meeting on January 6th to strategize on how to overturn the election. And then the thing just goes right on. Matter of fact, this is where media makes me nuts. If, in fact, it's now known that a group of lawyers and Trump loyalists had a war room in the Willard Hotel that the president's chief of staff stayed in touch with, and they were, according to this report, and we know it, strategizing on how to overturn the election. Well, that, folks, is an attempt to overthrow the government. And life goes on. Life goes on. Ooh, blah, dee. Well, here's the good news. I found this in the paper today. Excuse me. North Korea, at least we're not in North Korea. That's the good news. At least we still have a more freedom and more of a democracy, kind of, sort of, certainly, than the poor souls who, by dint of bad luck in their birth, found themselves in North Korea. North Korea has publicly executed at least 7 people for watching K-pop videos from South Korea. We don't even manage to get the likes of all of these instigators of a coup d'etat in this country. We don't even get them charged with anything a year after they attempt to overthrow the government. And in North Korea, if you listen to the wrong band, you're going to get executed. Wow. I think if you're up to no good, this is a country to be in. This is the place to be. Well, this is the place to be if you're a white person, because obviously our justice system reacts in a hair trigger fashion if you're a black person who has committed a crime or is just walking around being black. Hair trigger quickness there. White collar types, people with power. Nah, you can pretty much right out there try to overthrow the government of the United States, and you're still living in your fancy houses, and you're still being interviewed by members of the media and treated with, I guess, a measure of respect. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of treated with a measure of respect, I see that some appalling group of conservatives called America Turning Point USA. They're having a big conference. They've invited all the biggies. Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz. But the one they're really pushing, Kyle Rittenhouse. See? In this country, you can be a white guy, kid. You can have gunned down 2 people and, well, might make it on the 3rd person, but you can then be acquitted of having committed any crime whatsoever, and then you can start making gazillions of dollars as a hero of one of the 2 major political parties in this country, the Republican Party. Again, I'll go to Twitter. Someone wrote, if I killed someone, even if he killed 2. Listen, if I killed 2 people on almost a 3rd, even if I believed it was in self-defense, let's let that slide in. All right, let's give him that. he really thought he was defending his life. This person says, I wouldn't want to be famous for having killed people. But that's probably because I'm a fundamentally decent human being. And so the people at these Republican conferences who think and who know that Kyle Rittenhouse will be a draw, he is going to be cheered. You know, and if they could, if things had gone better for Derek Chauvin, the cop, took out George Floyd, or for those 3 grotesqueries, like human beings, who actually were found guilty. Where was that? In the Aubrey case, the Aubrey killing. I forgot what I was going to say. These are heroes to these people. Oh, Derek Chauvin, if things had turned out a little differently, would also probably be speaking at this event, because this is what the Republican Party now stands for. What they stand and cheer for. Who they identify with. And who they hold up as heroes. Wow. Hey, remember that obituary I started the show with yesterday, the one that went on forever and ever? It took 14 minutes for me to read. That obit is all over the internet now. Not surprised. But it's not it's because I don't think anyone other than I'm aware of me picked it out of the Post-Gazette, which is where I saw it. But it was also printed in some other newspapers, because the woman who died was born and raised here. That's why the obit was here. And then she spent a whole lot of her life in North Carolina. And so the obit was also put in the Fayetteville paper. And I happened to just, looking through Twitter yesterday, somebody in Fayetteville posted it, said, look at this. And I'm sure it was probably in a Florida and maybe a Texas newspaper. So if her son who wrote this, was intending, and I think he was, to have it go viral, to have his moment in the sun, I think he pulled it off. Just saying. I'm jumping all over again. I know it's indicative of the state of my mind these days. There's just so much out there. This is why we're so easily distracted, hard to focus. We flit from place to place. I didn't know bell hooks, I wanted to say. And I think I was a little too old and a little too white. If I had been in college 10 years later, I would know bell hooks. And as I've read about her since she died, and I've been reading a lot of tributes to her, I might not have known bell hooks, but my Lord, she was huge in the lives of so many Black women. And what I'm seeing, again, social media, is black women just mourning her death at 69 and also crediting her for changing their lives, for uplifting them, for providing them strength, the voice. Here is one, a woman named Leslie Mack tweeted, "Just for your information, black women are not okay today. This loss is hitting us hard. Bell Hooks was an entry point to radical thinking for so many of us. I remember discovering her in high school, and it completely shifted my understanding of the world." This is a woman who wrote a whole bunch of books and brought the concept of feminism to the black audience that the white feminist movement, in other words, the feminist movement, had not reached. And like so many things, white women at the head of the white woman's feminist movement were just extraordinarily unaware of their privilege and their narrow focus, I included. But what I think why I didn't, in reading her obituary, Bell Hooks and I, it turns out, were both in Madison, Wisconsin at the same time in 1976. In 1976, I was the only woman anchor on Madison television. She was getting her master's degree at the University of Wisconsin. And maybe she saw me. Maybe she saw me. But I didn't know her, and she was not somebody who had yet reached the level she was going to in the coming years. And then I ended up in Pittsburgh, and then I ended up living my life, and I wasn't focused. I wasn't reading stuff like this. But her books now are taught in in high schools, in colleges. Anyone who's a bit younger than me knew her. At first, I got mixed up because I saw that she doesn't capitalize her name. Her name is Bell Hooks. By the way, that's not her name. She was born Gloria Jean Watkins. And Bell Hooks, all lowercase, was her pen name. And I wondered why. And I came across this quote during a 2013 visit to Rollins College. Rollins College, by the way, the college where Fred and Joanne Rogers met each other and fell in love. During a 2013 visit to Rollins College, Bell Hooks told an audience that she always wrote her name in lowercase because she wanted people to focus on her books, not who I am. And I have to say, meaning no disrespect, that explanation doesn't quite work because, of course, if you're going to make your name not look like any other name, we all capitalize the first and the last, almost all of us, right? So if you're going to take your name and put it in all lowercase, you are going to draw attention exactly to your name. She's saying she did it so that people wouldn't focus on her, but on her books. And if that's really why she did it, that doesn't make any sense to me. I just have to say that. I mean, that's what? If you want people to notice you, you would do your name in all lowercase. So I don't quite understand that. I think it was more of almost well, that's not a great explanation, and I'm sure she's done many more that are. I just wanted to say, I wish I'd been aware of her. I am now aware of her, a little late. I'm glad that she had such a positive impact on so many lives. I'm really, really glad. And I'm sorry she's gone so soon. Better late than never. Ed, what are you saying here? Is this gizmo like or similar to the snow pusher that you often rave about? You mean my snowies? I don't know. No, it's not. The snowies is, no, it's not. It's, snowies doesn't have no wheels on it. No. Speaking of that, I have a boxed snow ease in my garage. And it is courtesy of one of you, one of the members of this audience, who came upon it, I think sitting out on the curb, waiting to be picked up as garbage. And it was still in the original box, which of course I hadn't seen in a million years, and it had never been opened. So he gave it to me, and he had the idea, and I thought it was a great one, that since every winter I get queries on, do you know where I can get one of those snowies you rave about? And I have said over and over again, no. I mean, they're not. They just aren't being manufactured anymore. It's a very long story. But I've got one. And we think it's a good way to maybe make a little money. Have an auction or something. And if anyone can figure out how to do it, I'm telling you, I got one here. We can make a little money and give it to a charity. I'm just no good at that kind of thing. So, just so you know, how much you willing to give me, for it? As far as I know, what's in the box is, still okay. The box is a little bit discolored because it's, God knows where it's been. But I will rave about snowies till my dying day. It is a wondrous thing. And I do have two. Well, actually three with the one in the box. So I might be able to auction off a second one. I have two. And just saying, no, there's never been a year since the whole snowies thing that we haven't ended up talking about it as the winter comes on. Of course, the way winters are now. No, you're kidding. It generally doesn't snow when it's 70 degrees out. But then, of course, the weather is bizarre. And I'm looking for, what was this? So there was an incredible weather event yesterday. And this followed on the heels of the horror of the tornadoes in Kentucky and neighboring states. But there was a confirmed tornado yesterday near Rochester, Minnesota. And guys, there's never, ever been a tornado in December in Minnesota. And for that matter, several tornadoes were reported last night in western and central Iowa, and never before have those locales seen a tornado in December. And all of those places had also set records the day before for record high temperatures, 70s, above 70. And then you get the tornadoes and the extraordinary winds coming in. I mean, they talk about these winds like all hell's breaking loose. I started seeing some of what the National Weather Service was putting out, and geez, I mean, that would scare the bejeebers out of anybody. What did they say here? They forecast last night wind gusts of up to 90 miles per hour. That's hurricanes. Wind gusts of up to 90 miles an hour. There's more than 500,000 people without electricity. And here's someone from the Weather Service in Des Moines. He says the storm system is unprecedented. This is before the tornadoes came. They were watching it approach. It's unprecedented. We don't have anything to compare it to. Off the charts is the best way, I guess, to say it. Yep. I think Mother Nature's gotten the vibe for the times, right? So the things she's up to and doing fit right into the general tenor of cataclysm. Barbara sends me this. Dr. Hooks had been on the faculty at, is it Berea or Berea? I don't know how to pronounce it, college, since 2004, serving as distinguished professor in residence in Appalachian studies. This college, Berea, is the only one of America's top colleges that awards every enrolled student a no tuition promise. There is no tuition for any student. 100% of tuition costs paid for, and that amounts what it would be to over $176,000 for 4 years. Wow. Am I still here? Yeah. You know, this is something that started happening while, I'm connected to you through my cell phone. And I'm starting to get these damn robocalls during the show, and they do come in, and I think for a second I get cut out until I can knock them off. I'm not sure. Do I have a caller? I'm sorry. Hello? Maybe not.
Hey, no, I'm here.
Hello.
Well,
okay.
You were sounding like a true capitalist trying to get your snowies out to the highest bidders, but I still have respect for you. But
well, it's going to go to charity.
Oh, okay. You are a lefty after all. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Can we go back to talking about dust mites and unmade beds and stuff like that? Holy cow! I've been reading the news and it is depressing. And
yeah.
And the more you read about what's coming out of these texts and emails and these lawyers and judges who are trying to finagle away for this jerk to keep power, I have a concern, but I think it doesn't matter anyway. If they prosecute all these people for being traitors, that they are, and trying to just subvert our Constitution, our democracy, The outcry will be you're prosecuting political opponents.
Right. That it's a partisan. Yeah, and that's where Merrick Garland has to have the courage to take that on, because he'd be the best AG to actually, if he does do it, because he's always been a very non-political, non-partisan kind of guy. It's why Republicans have nominated him in the past for positions. He might be the guy to pull it off.
Yeah, maybe
rouse himself.
What's really concerning, and it's whether we prosecute these people or not, is I worry really. I mean, I think this is a real concern that if they take control of Congress, especially the House,
they will.
And if dipshit gets back in 2024. They are going to be merciless. Beau Biden is going to probably be in jail. Seriously.
Yeah, probably.
And I don't know.
Because we'll be in an authoritarian, anti-democratic country. Yes, of course. And that's why the stakes are so high. And America is out to lunch. People are very upset because there's inflation, and so what are they going to do? They punish the party of the president that's in power at the time, and so this is how unserious Americans are. They're right now having to pay more for things than they want to, and they are willing to reward the Republicans for that with their votes. And destroy democracy in the process. They have no idea that the stakes are a lot higher than a normal election. And so it's business as usual. And the party of the president always gets hit in the midterm election. They lose a whole bunch of seats. And there is no reason to believe that won't happen again, because Americans, like our media, are acting like it's normal.
You were
carrying on.
You read something the other day, and I forgot which country this person was from. About like they were in some country and they basically watched their country just turn into was it Bangladesh or what? Gosh, I can't remember. And but what happens is people like what we're doing now are just trying to live their lives.
Right. That's what I was talking about the other day. It was Sri Lanka.
Was it Sri Lanka? Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. And I see that happening here. And it's like, I mean, we've got the Omicron variant going on. It's just COVID is picking up. People are just
we're heading. It's frightening actually, because we are, as you know, just at the beginning of the spread of that new variant, which is 60 to 70% more contagious than Delta, which means in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I'll give it, our hospitals are going to be overrun. And God help you if you have a heart attack or a stroke or you're in a car accident and you need emergency care. Our hospitals are going to be overrun, and not necessarily just with the unvaccinated, because the ability of Omicron to infect those who are vaccinated is also alarming. But at least the vaccinated rarely end up in the hospital. So we're not going to clog up the hospitals. It's the unvaccinated who will be doing that. And yet, look, the timing's bad because everybody wants to get together for Christmas, and people will, and they're going to travel.
Well,
and we are going to spread this baby. I mean, hunker down, because January and February are going to be hell.
Yeah, you know, can I say there might be a sunny side to all this? This
Oh, good. Tell me.
Could be Darwinism at work. And it's just like, I mean, yeah, and there are going to be some people who have gotten their shots, you know, and their booster, and some of them will get sick. I mean, we're all going to carry it, but some of them will get sick, and some may die. But for the most part, it's going to be those sons of bitches. And I'm just saying, and this is a mean thing to think, but screw them. It's like,
yeah,
you know, I mean, we'll have some casualties of the thinkers and the people who are trying to do the right thing, but in large part, I hope it wipes the sons of bitches out. And maybe that, you know, I maybe the vaccine I kind of equate it to, you know, the lamb's blood that was put on the doorways during Passover, and these sons of bitches don't see that's our lamb's blood, maybe. And, you know, and they're the fundamentalist nutball Christians. And I'm sorry, it's like, and you're ignoring the signs, you're worshiping false idols and false prophets, and they just don't think anymore. So maybe this is the way we just sort of, maybe God's going to get rid of them this way for us.
All right, Roger, thank you.
I don't know.
I love the biblical. I like the biblical metaphor. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Good luck. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, my God. Look at this. Chris just sent me something. He said, I did a Google search on the snowies, and he found this. Reported by the Wall Street Journal. Yeah. Listen, I got my name in the Wall Street Journal 2 or 3 times because of the snowies. That was a big... Even a book written by one of their writers has a little chapter on the snowies and what happened because of me and my big mouth. So this might be one of the Wall Street Journal articles, right? I'll read a little of it to you. For those of you who are thinking, what the hell is she talking about? All right. If you can push a grocery cart, you can push this thing. So says Penny Nyrider, president of Wilmark, a Thorntown-based, that's in Ohio, company that manufactures the Snowies snow shovel. The handle looks like a push mower handle, and it just glides, she says. You walk and push, and you never have to shovel. It just makes a wall around whatever you're trying to clear. I'll skip. She says, you look at it, you think, whatever, because it looks so odd. You don't realize what it can do. The Wall Street Journal reported until last year, not many people did realize what the snowies could do, largely because the device had little marketing or advertising behind it. In fact, only about 500 of them had been shipped in unassuming packaging before Nyrider became president. And now Wilmark is shipping as many as 400 a week, and the numbers keep piling up. But Nyrider can't take all the credit for the beginnings of what could be a snowies phenomenon. Some of the credit has to go to an unnamed senior citizen from Pennsylvania, as well as a popular radio personality. Nyrider got a call just before Christmas last year from a woman who had a snowies and wanted another but couldn't find one. So Nyrider agreed to sell her one directly, but she charged the woman the same $19.95 wholesale price that the company was charging distributors. The woman then called Pittsburgh radio personality Lynn Cullen, who was complaining on the air. What? Me? Who was complaining on the air about having her shovel stolen. On the woman's recommendation, Cullen ordered a snowies. She loved it, and she sang its praises on her show. And then things snowballed. Oh, guys. Yeah, me and my big mouth. By the way, Penny and I got to know each other, Penny Nyrider. And she and her two little boys, I invited them out to, my parents at the time had a place in Palm Springs, and they came out. And I still have a lot of wonderful pictures of Penny and her two boys at Disney World or whatever it is, Disneyland it is out there, and all of that. And Penny had actually made a run at my father, hoping he would invest money and put. There were all kinds of effort. This thing is a wondrous thing, and because of the lack of, I tried, but I'm just a little nobody. And I sold a ton of them. I sold more than had ever been sold. And they started giving me a kickback. I made a bunch of money. I really did. But for those of you who don't know what happened, so I'm babbling about it on the air, telling people it's $20. And giving out their phone number. And this article goes on to say, Penny's saying, we came in one day and our phones were ringing off the hook, our two phones. Our customer service person thought it was a joke because the Colts were playing the Steelers in the playoffs. Oh, right. I'm sorry. It's in Indiana. I said Ohio. It's in Indiana, Thornton. We're playing the Steelers in the playoffs. But it was no joke. Pittsburgh was seriously buried, and these people wanted to get out from under. They had snow right then and there, says Nyrider, and we didn't even have a credit card machine. And all of my listeners were calling them and asking them to send the snowies immediately. They had a staff of 7 people. No, now they have a staff of 7 people. They were just 2 people. They had no way of taking credit cards. And one of the things, and this thing doesn't tell it, and this is one of the things that the Wall Street Journal went berserk about. I'm not seeing it in this article. Penny said to all these people who were calling, I'll send you it for $19.95. I don't have the ability to take your credit card, but I hope you will send us a check. Now, can you imagine? She was shipping these snowies to Pittsburgh, left, right, and center, for the wholesale price, and essentially not making much of anything on them, actually, and doing it on the honor system. And not a Pittsburgh person, not a person, system. They already had their snowies, and they all paid in cash. And then one day at the end of my show, I'm on WTAE radio, the program director, my boss, comes in after the show and says, Lynn, we got a problem. I got a call from some company in Indiana, and they want you to stop whatever it is you're doing about this shovel. I said, stop? I'm selling their shovels like hotcakes. And he said, they said the price is wrong and they don't have the capacity to deal with this. And I said, what kind of an idiot company, when you're putting them on the map, tells you to cease and desist? He said, I know, but they said cease and desist. I said, well, you get back to them and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, Penny did realize that this was an incredible opportunity. The price was, I'm sure it'd be more now, it went up to $30. As the Wall Street Journal rhapsodized in a piece devoted to the Snowies, quote, "If you ever see an advertisement for the Snowies, I hope you'll recall the lesson of Penny Nyrider. Every person who contacts your business stands at the beginning of a long line of potential customers. Resolve dilemmas in their favor, and they will return to you more than you had to give away." So, yeah, it was a great story, great run. And I got one of the originals in its packaging right here. And I'm telling you, they're amazing. So my two Snowies is I won't get into how Sears tried to get involved. And I ended up having to do a video for them. They renamed the Snowies the Snow Path. It's the same thing, although it's red instead of the white one. And I have one of those. One of them is a Snow Path, one is a Snowies. Yeah, it's an incredible story. We haven't even scratched the surface. And who that old lady was who called and had one. And my recollection is she said she'd gotten hers in Japan. Is that possible? Maybe. Barbara says, as a longtime listener, you sold me. I mentioned this before, but it is a cautionary reminder. I loved the Snowies, but I broke too. Wow. See, mine are both in great shape. One hit a nail on my wooden deck while I was pushing and snapped into two pieces. The second one hit something on my concrete driveway, and it also snapped into two pieces. Ah, man. Well, I guess you're either very unlucky or I'm very lucky. Mine's in great shape. Both of them. Okay. Well, hey, whoever sent me a Chris, thank you. You just helped me fill a whole bunch of show here. I appreciate that. I haven't heard a lot about the war on Christmas this year. Maybe because, the people who usually freak about the war on Christmas have other things to sow division with that actually work even better. But it's all part of the same thing. And I was thinking last night when I was walking the dog that seeing all the pristine leafless green lawns, that there is a war on leaves. I know you're sick of me saying this, but I so find it incomprehensible that people don't understand that those leaves are the natural worlds. They are not something that you have to gather up. They are of use. And I think they're pretty. I love the way they crunch. There's something about a totally, a lawn in the winter, a landscape in the winter where all the leaves have been removed is so much starker and uninteresting. And you have to figure that all the little critters and living things that would prefer having that blanket over them for the winter, who use it, are being deprived. And, there's a war out that's killing them. I know, voice in the wilderness, nobody's listening to me. But I refuse. I bag up a few bags, and I'm looking out now on my backyard, and I have big piles of leaves They're covering the ground. And I'm assuming that little critters that live in my backyard, and I got lots of them, are going to have a better winter because of it. And I'm going to have a yard that looks more real. And then in the spring, you pick them up. I'm just saying. Here's something else I just want to say. I hate Joe Manchin. That's all I want to say. I hate Joe Manchin. Just hate him. Now, one person can be so destructive. He's going to take food out. He's literally taking food out of the mouths of babes. He is standing, and here he represents a poor state where people would benefit from the ongoing child tax credit thing, the monthly checks, and he's not on board. He's worrying about what? How do we pay for it? Did you hear him worry about that when they just gave $1 gazillion to the Defense Department? Oh, God. All right. So did you hear, since the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, I'm still stunned by this, said that the mask mandate instituted by the Wolf administration for masking in schools, K through 12 schools, was unconstitutional. They threw it out. That's our very liberal Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Go figure. Big Democratic majority on that court. Go figure. I mean, what I'm figuring is maybe the law as written, prevented such a wide, that they had to follow. I don't know. But it's a public health crisis, for God's sakes. So the minute that happened, all of these school districts in the suburbs and in the rural areas immediately convened and made clear that masks were not going to be required in their schools. One I'm aware of, I think just happened last night, Moon area, I believe. And I actually have the agenda. They removed all, you're not going to have to mask. They even got rid of like the need to contact trace or, I mean, it's just mind blowing. And this is as the Omicron comes to town. Isn't that something? And somebody got, I love this. They have the agenda of the meeting in which this happened, and they posted it. This is the Moon Area School Board agenda, or I guess last night. Number 1, Pledge of Allegiance. And then, after the Pledge of Allegiance, they go into doing what they did, getting rid of the health and safety plan that had been in place, replaced by essentially none. Now, the reason being that, stop and think about this. As somebody did, and I'm sorry I can't credit them because I don't have the name here. Stop and think about a governing entity, school board, having its meeting. The first order of business is what? Everybody stands up and says, I pledge allegiance to the government. Okay. That's what it is, right? I pledge allegiance to, why can't I think of it now? I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands. I can't think of the first few words. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ha! They say that. And then they turn around and say, the government is not going to tell me what to do. There's a little bit of cognitive dissonance there. These same patriotic, freedom-loving folk. First, look at that flag, their hands on their hearts, and pledge allegiance to the country and to its laws and to the government. Oh, I pledge allegiance to the flag. That was it. I couldn't think of what are we pledging to? To the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And the flag comes first, and then to the republic for which it stands. Okay. They pledge allegiance to it and then give it the middle finger. Crazy. We're crazy. What else I got? There's this. I'm just going to throw it out there because this is from the week. It's about a professor, a lecturer in English has been fired by Fordham University. That's a Catholic school, right? Where Vince Lombardi was a coach or was a player, right? Fordham University fired an English lecturer after he mixed up the names of two black students when one arrived at class late. So I guess a black student walked in, he must have said their name, but it was the wrong name. It was the name of another black student. They're both women. And it says here, the female student said, quote, they were not actually that upset and only wanted the guy, Christopher Trogan, to apologize, but found his response inadequate. His response had been that he had devoted his entire life to racial justice and would never have offended. He was told that he had to, grovel. I called people by the wrong name so many times now. If it's mixing up two black people, then I understand where black people say, oh, yeah, right, we all just look the same. But it doesn't have to be that. It could be somebody like me who never gets anybody's name right. And somehow in his response, by virtue of trying to defend himself, he said, I'm sorry, and this and that. I've been for social justice all my life. He went too far because then the women, the female students, really got pissed off because they said he obviously has a white savior complex. The fact that he was trying to defend himself by saying, I've always worked for, equality, this and that and that. So, started by using the wrong name for a student. He ends up then being accused of white savior complex. And he ends up losing his job. I don't have enough information here. This is mind-boggling to me. So I'm just telling all you white liberals, be careful in these times out there. All you white liberals and progressive types, if you want to argue you've always been there, I've always been there and fighting for social justice, and you got white skin on you, well, then you are going to be Somebody who has white savior complex. Wow. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't exist. But if people want to ally themselves and help soldiers and work alongside blacks for social justice, why should they? I don't understand anything anymore. Everybody is so angry. So angry. And sometimes that anger is misdirected, although I think a lot of the anger coming at white liberals, and this is with the bell hooks, and white liberal feminists, and white, all of that. This is a moment that white liberal types can learn something, can engage in some, reflection. And I don't know that many people do. I just think we're at a point when we're not, any of us, much making wise choices anymore. We're throwing babies out with the bathwater left, right, and center. Okay, I'm babbling. I'll get out of your hair. Have a good one. It's my last show of the week. I'll be back on Monday, and probably overwhelmed with whatever horrors have happened in the interim, and sighing a lot. But who knows? Who knows? Anyway, really, be careful out there. We're heading into a very dangerous medical situation. Whether you're aware of it or you, I'm sick of this, so you pretend it isn't there. Please, please, be careful. And be careful around us old folks, because it's us old folks who are going to go down. And I want to stay around long enough to hector you, okay? All righty. Toodaloo.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.